Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. मैं हूँ रोहन अदीम and you are watching Vantage Holdings presents Game On है. We just witnessed another game in this ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. The first game of this tournament that was played between two test-playing nations. So there was a lot of hype. हमने अपने प्री-मैच शो में भी बात की ये दोनों टीम्स कितनी इक्वल हैं, कितनी क्या strengths और weaknesses हैं साउथ अफ्रीका की, श्रीलंका की, and we were sort of hoping for maybe an interesting match, maybe a thriller, because of course हमारी expectations अब बहुत बढ़ चुकी हैं, especially since that thriller that we saw earlier yesterday. But it wasn't meant to be. It was a rather slow, low scoring match. उसके ऊपर भी हम मज़ीद अभी बात करेंगे. But श्रीलंका being bowled out 477 in under 20 overs. I think this was a bit of a surprise for all of us here. But of course, जो pitch के ऊपर, conditions के ऊपर हमने बात की, I think आज का show will focus mostly on what the conditions were like in New York. And of course, we have more to talk about with our expert panel. And I have my wonderful co-host with me, Erin Holland, to help me unpack this match with our experts. Erin, not the greatest match in terms of nail biters, because we have been seeing some unexpected ups and downs in the recent matches that happened, but still enjoyable at least.
Yeah, Sri Lanka winning the toss, electing to bat first. Had they scored around that 120-130 Hasaranga just mentioned in the post-match presentation, I think it would have been a really interesting contest. The Sri Lankan batters, they just could not fire in the circumstances. They couldn't get a grasp on the conditions that were tricky. Yes, it looked like things were really kicking up off the surface. A lot of the South African bowlers who bowl at great pace and from great height in terms of Marco Jansen and the likes really troubled the Sri Lankan batters. They just didn't have any answers today for the bowling unit. In reply though, the Sri Lankans must take some promise from the fact that their bowling unit did perform well. They really did put South Africa to a little bit of a test in terms of their batting lineup, but in the end, Heinrich Klaasen just too good against the spin once again. Took down Hasaranga, and the very, very mediocre chase of 77 was far too easily achieved. And South Africa will be so happy to get a big W in front of their World Cup campaign to begin with. Momentum going in the right direction. Just
exactly the kind of start South Africa would have wanted from this World Cup, especially since losing that toss. A lot was said after that toss when it happened earlier, but we'll have a quick word with our expert panel on the toss, on the playing 11, on the conditions, on everything about this match. I've got with me Martin Guptill, Yunus Khan and Mohammad Hafiz, who make up our superb, phenomenal expert panel. Gentlemen, welcome back to Game On here. Or Martin, I'm going to start with you. A lot was said about this pitch. A lot was unsaid, I think, about this pitch as well before we started. But that's coming back to the uncertainties, especially, Nokia also saying after the match that they didn't get to practice on this surface. And without all that information, he was still able to deliver for his team. How do you assess, especially with that uneven bounce going around, that's the two-paced pitch that was on offer today? Do you think it might have been a different story had South Africa batted first?
Yeah, it could have been a completely different story, but the beauty of it is we'll never know. How it unfolded was how it was meant to be. South Africa, I think they adapted quicker with the ball. They found a length that was really hard to hit. And on the other side of that, I don't think Sri Lanka batted particularly smartly on it. They tried to hit their way out of trouble. They didn't take the time to do the donkey work as such and actually grind it out and try and create a partnership to get some momentum in their innings. They just, went out there and played, I'd say, quite a few silly shots and lost their wickets for it, and it really, just couldn't get any momentum into their innings. But, credit to South Africa. They found a length that was difficult. Balls were staying low, balls were coming up, jumping a lot higher. I would not have liked to have been out there facing them on that.
And we look at another World Cup match. Many records did fall once again. Unfortunately for Sri Lanka, one that they would love to erase from their memories. The lowest ever score for them in a T20 international, Professor. Getting bowled out for 77, it's not an ideal start to the campaign. What were your biggest takeaways from the performance the Sri Lankans put on today?
Well, very disappointing, to be very honest. Apart from winning the toss, the rest of the whole game was not anywhere what we as a fan of Sri Lankan team, as we were talking about their, their legacy Like the way Sangakkara, Jayawardene, all these people we talked about left a legacy, but this group of players are not continuing that legacy. And at the moment, I believe, apart from that winning the toss, if you remember, the captain said pitch is very good. And if that is a good pitch, that it means like you never you misread the pitch, I believe. So if you misread the pitch, then you always fall in a somewhere area where you cannot come back. So I believe they made a mistake, to be honest. If they won the toss, they should bowl first on this track, because once you are not sure about the pitch, why are you offering yourself to get in a trouble and then you never recover from that? So I believe they made a bad decision. And then Martin said about it, like some silly shots we witnessed, the way they played. Nokia took 4 wickets, that is fine. He's a good bowler. We all know we can expect some short ball from him. But giving 4 wickets on a bouncer, playing their shot and getting out on a deep mid wicket, a defined leg area, it means like the players never wanted, a batsman never wanted to be there to do that donkey work which Martin was talking about. Sometimes as a player, you need to get in. It's not your nature, but you need to be here for the right reason, because you always develop your inning at that moment where you control a little bit of pressure and then you execute your skills later on. So I think they missed that trick.
Right. I mean, you got the captain advancing down the wicket on only the second ball he's faced against Maharaj on a wicket that is doing a lot. It's probably not the best intent, Yunus. That was it was interesting, wasn't it?
For me, I think it was after power play.
Yeah.
At that time, they maybe they misread the pitch, they misread the condition, but they also misread what is the par score on that pitch.
Yeah.
So I think 120, 130 was a par score for it was look like that. So I think sometimes you learn, and you learn like in the nuts. Don't go for big shot all the time. If the condition is here very hard for you as a batter, you can go and craft your inning and give, as always I say, give best chance to your bowler, best chance to your batter. So I think they misread not only the pitch, they also misread what is the par score at that pitch.
Yeah, a lot of food for thought for the Sri Lankans to take away from today's match. Let's take a little look at the match summary to remind ourselves of the story of the game. And well, Hasaranga and the Sri Lankans won the toss. They elected to bat first, but 77 was just simply never going to be enough, no matter the conditions. Kushal Mendis, the top scorer with only 19 of 30 balls there, well below 100 strike rate. And Angelo Matthews put in 16, but it was beautiful, beautiful bowling from Anrik Nortje. He's been under a lot of pressure to perform on the international stage, and he comes back with career best figures of 4 for 7. Rabada was also great, 2 for 21, and Maharaj on a hat-trick at one point there, which really did the damage up the top of the order. And in reply, the South Africans chased it down with relative ease. They did lose a few wickets there, but Heinrich Klaasen coming in and attacking the spin of the captain Hasaranga towards the end there with a little cameo from Tristan Stubbs and Aiden Markram. Well, Sri Lanka, they had a few bowlers that did do well in the circumstances, but in the end, it was all downhill for the Sri Lankans and simply not enough runs on the board, Roha.
That's just not, something that you associate with Sri Lankan cricket. As Hafiz also said, I mean, we've been seeing them in T20 World Cups, and we talked about this in the pre-show as well, that they have won 31 games across T20 World Cups, which is the best among all teams. So it really makes you think the mindset in which the Sri Lankan team were playing today. But let's come back to some of those stats, because अगर हम bowling की बात करें, यूनुस आंड्रिक नोकिया का जो आज का spell था, 4 wickets for 7 runs only, that was the most economical 4-over spell in T20 World Cups. So यहाँ पे मैं आपसे यही सवाल करूँगी कि अगर सिचुएशन डिफरेंट होती थोड़ी, बिकॉज ज़ाहिर है अनइवन बाउंस था, एवरीबडी वाज स्ट्रगलिंग विद द बैट, बट द वे दैट ही वाज एबल टू गिव दोज वेरिएशंस इन लाइन एंड लेंथ एंड जस्ट बी एबल टू अडेप्ट, ये कितना ज़रूरी होता है अडेप्ट करना फॉर अ बॉलर?
और अडाप्ट फ़ौरन करना ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, क्योंकि जिस वक्त वो बॉलिंग करने आए तो पावर प्ले ख़त्म हुआ और फ़ौरन ही वो आ गया. लेकिन ये कि आपके पास जो हम बार बार बात करते हैं कि इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट क्या है, अडोप्टेशन ही है और फ़ौरन आपको करनी है. अब ये नहीं हो सकता था कि इस ग्राउंड पे या इस पिच पे पहले बॉलिंग नहीं हुई है या मैचेस नहीं हुए तो हम प्रिपेयर नहीं थे. ये कोई एक्सक्यूज़ नहीं हो सकता. आपको फॉर अडोप्टेशन करनी है, जो भी आपके सामने है. यही है इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट। और जिस तरह साउथ अफ्रीकन बॉलर्स ने आउट क्लास किए श्रीलंकन को, वो अमेजिंग था। और उन्होंने एक जो हम जैसे कल हम बात कर रहे थे कि वेस्ट इंडीज़ को एक जो है वो एक ऐसे स्टेटमेंट देनी है, 4 आउट करना, 7 रन दे के, अमेजिंग मेरे ख्याल से बहुत खुश होंगे। और जैसे उनका रिसेंट पास में उन पर बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशर भी था
बिल्कुल
कि उन पे को इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट की जो एक उनसे एक्सपेक्टेशन है, जो उन्हें डिलीवर करना है एज अ बॉलर, वो नहीं था। तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब इस तरह के बॉलर, इस तरह के बैटर परफॉर्म करते हैं और आपकी टीम के लिए जो है, देखिए वो परफॉर्मेंस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जो टीम के लिए सही टाइम पे काम आए। तो एंड्रू नोकिया ने तो आज दिखा दिया कि वो ऐसे, और बाकी बॉलर्स ने भी उनका साथ दिया। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये एक अच्छा साइन है इस टूर्नामेंट के लिए कि आगे जाएगा तो ये क्या क्या होने जा रहा है इसमें।
बिल्कुल। हफीज, आपके क्या थॉट्स हैं इस पूरे?
देखिए मैं एक बात बताऊँ, मैच से हटके मुझे थोड़ी मायूसी हुई इस पिच को देख के। वेरी डिसअपॉइंटिंग पिच टू बी ऑनेस्ट। अगर आप बात करें कि एक ऐसी मार्केट, एक ऐसी जगह जहाँ पे क्रिकेट को प्रमोट करने के लिए ये सारा टूर्नामेंट हेल्ड किया जाए, और आईसीसी ने बहुत मेहनत की, ये हमने तमाम न्यूज़ में पढ़ा। एक बहुत ही ऐसी जगह जो बिल्कुल क्रिकेट से दूर थी, वहाँ पे कोई ऐसी क्रिकेट पहले नहीं हुई थी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट नहीं थी, बड़ी मेहनत की गई। तो आपने अगर ड्रॉपिंग पिच को अगर इस तरह का बनाना है तो ये बिल्कुल इस खेल के लिए बेहतर नहीं है। मुझे लगता है वो ज़रूर उनको ये कंसर्न होगा कि अगले मैचेस में दे वुड लाइक नॉट टू सी समथिंग लाइक दिस। वो अपनी पिच की प्रिपरेशन के ऊपर ज़रूर बात करेंगे, क्योंकि इस तरह का पिच इस टूर्नामेंट को डल कर देगा। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि जो थोड़े रन्स वाला जो मैच है वो नेल बाइटिंग नहीं हो सकता। हमने देखा कि बारबाडोस में हमें बहुत नेल बाइटिंग जो है मैच मिला, लेकिन ये पिच सेफ़ नहीं है। अनइवन बाउंस, इस तरह की जो कंडीशन है, ये क्रिकेट के लिए बेहतर नहीं है। तो मुझे लगता है कि ज़रूर अगले मैचेस में आईसीसी को भी करना चाहिए, और आई वुड लाइक टू सी बेटर पिचेस इन फ्यूचर, क्योंकि ये वेन्यू जो है ये बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है यूएस की क्रिकेट मार्केट के लिए। क्योंकि अगर वहाँ पे इस तरह के मैचेस हुए, अगर फ़र्ज़ करें इस वेन्यू के ऊपर तमाम मैचेस ऐसे हुए, तो वो यूएस मार्केट को जो हिट करना चाह रहे हैं आईसीसी, वो उसमें कामयाब नहीं हो सकेंगे।
राइट, बिल्कुल।
Yeah, difficult pitches, but one man who did not mind was Otniel Bartman, who's only playing his 3rd ever international for South Africa today. 1 for 9 off 4 overs. He got the dangerous opener Nasanka as well, but he gets the record for being the first ever South African to get a wicket in his first ever T20 World Cup, in his first ball, inks his name in the record books. And Guppy, you were sitting in the dressing room and saying, we don't know much about this guy. He's a late bloomer at 31 years old, but a lot to like. He's burst onto the scene and he edges out and giddy to get the run today, and he did brilliantly with the ball.
Yeah, he certainly did. He probably didn't envisage getting his first wicket in that manner, but you take them any way that you can. So
It's perfect for these conditions too, wasn't it? And it was really a comprehensive bowling performance from the entirety of the South African team that really put Sri Lanka under pressure. Maharaj Yunus as well, he was causing all sorts when he was on a hat-trick at that one point as well.
बिल्कुल। देखिए मैं अगर बात करूं साउथ अफ्रीका के बॉलर्स में, तो हमने पेस भी नज़र आ रही है, लेकिन वैरायटी आपके पास बहुत ज़रूरी है। जिस तरह महाराज ने बॉलिंग किया, जिस तरह बैटमैन ने बॉलिंग किया, कि उनके पास हमने ये देखा कि बाज़-औक़ात आपको सिर्फ अगर शॉर्ट पिच बॉल करें तो उसी पे ही आउट नहीं करने हैं। तो ये इनकी बॉलिंग यूनिट में ये बड़ी अच्छी बात है कि इनके पास एक वैरायटी है। और जिस तरह महाराज की हमने पहले भी बात की कि वो स्टम्प्स टू स्टम्प बॉल करते हैं और वो आपको रूम नहीं देंगे। और ये इस टूर्नामेंट की ये ऑलमोस्ट दूसरी हैट्रिक होनी चली थी कि इस तरह, और स्पिनर जब ऐसी पिचेस पे बॉल करते हैं और वो इतना अच्छा डिलीवर करते हैं, तो अच्छा लगता है टीमों के लिए कि उनके पास एक बैलेंस यूनिट है। तो आज तो जो हम बात कर रहे हैं कि साउथ अफ्रीकन टीम ने एक स्टेटमेंट दे दी है कि हम यहाँ पे हैं और हम कुछ करके जाएंगे। तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो टॉप 4 के लिए वो अब फेवरेट बनते चले जाएंगे एक आधा मैच के और
बिल्कुल। और ये कोई न्यू बात नहीं होगी कि वो टॉप 4 में जाएंगे, बट हमेशा सवाल यही होता है कि क्या टॉप 4, क्या नॉकआउट से आगे साउथ अफ्रीका जाएगी। अभी हम उनकी लीग के बारे में भी बात कर रहे थे, साउथ अफ्रीका की जो T20 लीग है, और वहाँ से भी कितने फैंटास्टिक बॉलर्स उनको मिले हैं।
जो बार्टमैन है उन्होंने एरिया हिट किया, और बाकी रबाडा की बात करें या नोकिया की बात करें, हम सबको पता है कि वो राइट एरिया से आपको बाउंस देते हैं, और उन्होंने उसी को यूटिलाइज़ किया। महाराज इस टीम के लिए एक बॉन्डिंग फोर्स है, क्योंकि देखें वो टेस्ट क्रिकेट से T20 में आए हैं। तो वन थिंग वुड बी गारंटी कि जो कंसिस्टेंसी है ना वो इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा रहेगी, क्योंकि ही विल हिट द राइट एरिया फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, चाहे T20 हो या वनडे हो। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये एक ऐसा उनको एज मिला है महाराज को इस टीम के अंदर ला के पेस तो उनकी हमेशा से अच्छी थी, लेकिन स्पिन का वो जो एक राइट एरिया में कंसिस्टेंटली बॉलिंग करना था वो महाराज उनको ऑफर कर रहा है।
बिल्कुल, अभी अगर यहाँ पे महाराज का ये इम्पैक्ट है, वी कैन ओनली इमेजिन व्हाट महाराज विल बी एबल टू डू, स्पेशली इन द Caribbean where the tracks will be more spin friendly, and we will of course talk more about the upcoming games as well. It's time for a short break here at Vantage Holdings presents Game On Air, but so much more waiting for you on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
A very warm welcome back to Vantage Holdings presents Game On. Hey, and what a game it was for the Proteas, who got their Group D clash against Sri Lanka. Once World Cup champions, they slumped to an all-time low, bowled out for just 77 runs, the lowest ever in a World Cup for them, in a T20 international. In fact, for them, it was not the start that they wanted to their World Cup campaign. And what a start for New York, a low-scoring affair, a very tricky wicket. We saw some inconsistent bounce, but some very consistent bowling from both sides today. So as we welcome back in our expert panel, and of course my beautiful co-host Roha, 1 for 6 of 3 overs was wonderful. Nuwan Tushara, there was a couple of catches that went down off his bowling as well. He created a lot of chances. He's obviously off the back of a successful IPL campaign and taking that form in, but it's all about gelling in the cohesiveness, and they've just got to find more runs with the bat.
Yeah, they just needed to find some partnerships that they just didn't adapt quick enough. They knew it was a tricky wicket after the first couple of wickets fell, and they tried to hit their way out of trouble, which it may work once out of 10 times, but you really have to dig deep, absorb some pressure, get a partnership going so that you actually are able to use that back 5 overs of the innings to actually, put some runs on the board and take the bowling down when you've actually got a 2-set batsman in there. It's too hard to do that when you are continually losing wickets in that middle period. We spoke off air about, yesterday about dominating that 7 to 15 over mark. I think their score in that period was 44 for 6. When you lose 6 wickets in that period, you're always chasing your tail and you're always going to be behind the game.
And you can't be going at 2.9 Roha for the last portion of the innings. You have to be accelerating, and it just, losing 3 wickets and going for so little runs, it was just not Sri Lanka's day with the bat.
Not Sri Lanka's day at all, actually. Right from the moment of that toss, we saw they were looking a bit shaky as well, even the captain at the toss. But anyway, not the most ideal start for them. But if you look at South Africa, it was ideal for them all the way through. Agar hum Hafiz unki batting ki baat kare, not many runs on the board there, so they weren't in any sort of hurry to chase that total down. We saw their batters were also a bit cautious. ऐसा नहीं कि उन्होंने आते ही risky shots attempt की, because उस टाइम पे भी वही बाउंस और वही वेरिड पेस उनको मिल रही थी जो इनिशियली मिली, बट उन्होंने बहुत कॉशियसली उसको टैकल किया, डिडंट गो फॉर ऑल रिस्की शॉट्स, एंड इन द एंड इट वाज एन इजी चेस फॉर देम.
देखिए, लग रहा है कि ये इजी चेस था, लेकिन जब एज ए बैट्समैन आपने अगर 80 रन्स भी करने हैं, 77 रन्स भी करने हैं, तो प्रेशर तो आप पे है कि आपको पता है कि दूसरी जो पहले हमसे खेली है टीम उसने स्ट्रगल किया, लेकिन जो चैलेंज नहीं कर सकी वो श्रीलंकन बॉलिंग थी, क्योंकि इनकी बॉलिंग की जो पेस थी वो 120, लाइक अगर मैथ्यू आपको पहला ओवर करेगा और दूसरी साइड से आप सोचें कि येंसन बॉल कर रहे हैं, या दूसरे एंड से अगर आपको रबाडा बॉलिंग कर रहे हैं, या उस लेवल की पेस आए, तो वो आपको एक थ्रेट आएगा. ये जो नोकिया ने जो किया वो थ्रेट डाला इस पिच के ऊपर. और आपकी इनकी सिलेक्शन के अंदर अगर आप सोचते हैं कि आपको मैथ्यू एज ए बॉलर यहाँ पे आपको मैच जितवा के देंगे, तो फिर आपको भी सलूट ही है कि आप ये सोच रहे हैं. और अगर आप 2 ऐसे शनाका जो हैं और ये जो मैथ्यूज़ हैं, आप इन पे बैंक कर रहे हैं कि ये आपको इस पिच पे मैच जितवा देंगे, तो ये गलती है बहुत बड़ी. तो मुझे लगता है कि इस मैच को लेके आप जितना तारीफ तो हम करेंगे इस साउथ अफ्रीका की कि उन्होंने एक मैच तो उनके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट था, उन्होंने मैच जीता, लेकिन जो गलतियां श्रीलंका ने की हैं इस मैच के अंदर, वो मुझे लगता है कि ज़रूर एड्रेस होने वाली हैं. कि आप एक अपनी टीम के अंदर पेस बैटरी नहीं लेके आ रहे, दूसरा आप ठीक शाना को अगर इस पिच पे खिला रहे हैं और उसको अगर आप नया बॉल नहीं दे रहे, तो आपने उसको खिलाया क्यों? उससे बेहतर था फास्ट बॉलर खिलाते हैं. मधुशंका जो इनके एक बहुत अच्छे फास्ट बॉलर हैं, ही वाज अ फाइंड ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट इन द लास्ट 50 ओवर वर्ल्ड कप. तो कैसे हो गया कि आप उनको ये वाला मैच नहीं खिलाया? तो मुझे लगता है गलतियां उन्होंने खुद की हैं, ये मैच हारने की वजह वो अगर वो ऑनेस्ट होकर सोचेंगे तो वो सबसे बड़ी उनकी अपनी ही वजह नज़र आएगी। लेकिन अगर आप साउथ अफ्रीका की बात करें, उनके लिए गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी थी कि उनके लिए भी उतनी मुश्किल मैच था। तो मुझे लगता है उन्होंने अपने जो भी एरियाज़ थे, जो बॉलिंग के अंदर, उन्होंने बिल्कुल सही फैसला किया। शम्सी को इस पिच पे ना खिला के उन्होंने अपनी पेस बैटरी को ऑन रखा, और विद द सेम टाइम उनकी जब बैटिंग आई तो हमने देखा कि एक ईज़ थी। किसी जगह पे नॉर्मली साउथ अफ्रीका हमेशा चेस करते वक्त थोड़ा अंडर प्रेशर आता है, लेकिन उन्होंने एक गो के मुश्किल पिच था, लेकिन उनको एक ईज़ था, कंट्रोल था। 16वें ओवर में अगर मैच चेज हुआ तो मेरे ख्याल में ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट ये था कि किसी भी तरीके से कामनेस दूर नहीं गई। तो इनका वो कंट्रोल जो है वो मुझे अच्छा लगा कि ये इनको जरूर कॉन्फिडेंस मिलेगा।
कॉन्फिडेंट तो वो नज़र आ रहे थे राइट फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट, जिस तरह का स्टार्ट उनको मिला। लेकिन अगर हम श्रीलंका की बात करें, ऑफ कोर्स अ बैड डे फॉर देम, अ बैड स्टार्ट टू द टूर्नामेंट फॉर देम, बट गोइंग फॉरवर्ड अब उनके ग्रुप में क्योंकि नेदरलैंड्स, नेपाल और बांग्लादेश है, विल द चैलेंजेस ओनली ग्रो फॉर देम? कैसे वो अब टैकल करेंगे आगे आने वाले मैचेस में? बिकॉज जब आपका लोएस्ट एवर टोटल पे आप बोल्ड आउट हो जाए उसके बाद थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है कम बैक करना वर्ल्ड कप्स में।
ठीक है रोहा, उनको एक तो लर्न करना है कि जब जो हम बार बार यहाँ बैठ के बात करें कि ये जो 7 ओवर से लेके 15 ओवर तक खेलना है, ये आपने कैसे खेलना है, तो ये उनको लर्न करना। और आज भी अगर देखें तो एक ही आउट था, ठीक है, रन्स कम थे, अगर हम पावर प्लेस की बात करें तो 30 आउट रन्स थे उनके, लेकिन एक ही आउट था। उसके बाद जैसे ही वो 7वां और 8वां ओवर शुरू हुआ है तो पैनिक बटन ऑन हुआ, और जिस तरह पे नोकिया ने आकर उनको एक्सपोज किया, तो मेरे ख्याल से देखें अगर मैं इनके बैटर्स की बात करूँ तो ये कहीं ना कहीं टेस्ट क्रिकेट खेल रहे होते हैं, तो यहाँ पे आपको टैकल करना आना है हर हाल में। जैसे हम बार बार यहाँ बात कर रहे होते कि आपको रेडी रहना है हर चैलेंज के लिए। अब ये नहीं हो सकता कि आपको आपके मुताबिक बॉलिंग हो या आपको आपके मुताबिक कंडीशंस मिल जाए, तो ये तो उनको करना है। ठीक है, अब क्या हो सकता है, ये तो हो गया, ये तो चला गया, चाहे वो हार की शक्ल में गया, जीत की शक्ल में चला गया। अब उनको आपको मूव फॉरवर्ड होना है। अब अपने आप को एड्रेस करें और लर्न करें, और जैसे हम बार बार बात कर रहे हैं कि ये ना करें कि एक टाइप की ही बैटिंग है और एक टाइप की ही बॉलिंग हो आपके पास। आपको कहीं ना कहीं आपको वैरायटी चाहिए, जैसे साउथ अफ्रीका के पास है। उनकी अगर हम बैटिंग की बॉल का बात कर लें, उनकी बॉलर्स की बात कर लें, इस पिच पे भी उन्होंने ऐसा नहीं किया कि सिर्फ नोकिया ने ही उनको आउट क्लास किया, बाकी बॉलर्स ने भी चिप इन किया।
हर किसी की बॉल पे वो स्ट्रगल करते हुए नजर आए।
और आपके पास देखें एज अ यूनिट, एज अ बॉलिंग यूनिट, आपके पास हर बैटर के लिए 2 से 3 प्लान होने चाहिए। हर बॉलर के लिए ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है। इसी तरह बैटर्स की भी बनती है कि अगर मुझे नोकिया बॉल करेंगे तो मेरे पास उसके खिलाफ क्या शॉट्स होने चाहिए, और इसी तरह अगर रबादा बॉल करेंगे क्योंकि वो आगे से स्विंग भी करते हैं, आपको लेंथ भी हार्ड करते हैं, वो और फिर जब बैट्समैन आएंगे तो उनके लिए क्या करना है, तो उनके लिए फिर क्रीज कैसे यूज़ करनी है, क्या डीप जाना है क्रीज में या आगे आना है, तो और फिर जब महाराज जैसे बॉलर आ जाएंगे तो फिर क्या करना है। तो देखिए आपने अगर टॉप की टीम बनना है और आपको एक और वर्ल्ड कप जीतना है तो ये सारे प्लान्स आपके पास होने चाहिए।
Adaptability
तो बहुत ज़रूरी है, बहुत ज़रूरी है।
That's what we talked about, but 10 years ago, Sri Lanka lifted the T20 World Cup trophy. Today, they were bowled out for 77.
Yeah.
Not a great legacy to take forward, Erin.
No, and hopefully they can draw a line in the sand and go, yeah, we know we don't have too many games in the pool of a World Cup, but we have to forget about this and move forward.
Yeah.
It's the only way. What is done, and Sri Lanka will be wanting to finish strong and hope to make the top 2 of their group. But Guppy, as we go back to the Sri Lankan batting innings, they win the toss, they're full of confidence, they go, yeah, we're going to post a total. We see the captain, Hasaranga, he was slated to come in at 7, he comes in at 4. We were sitting in the green room and he said, oh, I would have sent in Angelo Matthews in this particular situation in the game. Yet given he did only make 16 runs eventually when he did come in, but in the context of 19 being the top score, it was a good effort. And would you, had they had their time again, put Angelo in further up the order and left Hasaranga around that mid-order where he was originally supposed to come in?
Personally, I would have. I think at that point, where they knew it was a tough wicket to score, I would have sent Angelo in. Yeah. He's got the experience, he's the elder statesman in the team, he's been playing for 15 years. He's got that experience, that cool head to be able to guide them through that tough period, to create partnerships with the younger guys there, and then potentially that can lead to a few more runs at the end where they could have got to that 120 to 130 score, instead of guys coming in who have done better sort of down towards the end of the innings, exposing them a little bit earlier. There's the downfall today. Hopefully they can learn from it. They haven't got too many games left, and they put themselves in a pretty tough position now, because if they drop one more game, they could be packing their bags early and heading home. If they drop that game, their run rate may not be good enough to qualify if they end up on the same points as another team.
Well, net run rate so incredibly important, of course, in this sort of a competition as the T20 World Cup. And Hafiz, a lot of talk has been said about intent, and you could see as the wickets fell, the Sri Lankans just tried to power hit their way out of trouble, essentially, which on a wicket like this, which we were unsure of the circumstances of the conditions, probably the wrong sort of ill intent, you would say, in this particular instance.
But you know, the intent is not all about to just play your shots. Intent could be like if you block the ball and you show that body language to the bowler that I'm here for the right reason, I'm going to stay here. That is also the way of passing that intent to the opposition. So I think they missed that trick. All they tried, they played some silly shots. They were not trying to absorb the pressure that time, because at international stage, sometime the situation demands you to stay there and absorb that pressure for 2 overs, maybe 3 overs. Just try to, you know, rotate the strike and get the runs going. So I think they missed that trick. All they tried, like Hasaranga, he just came in. I'm okay with that he promoted himself as a number 4 batsman, which was I think it was a right decision. But the way he went after Maharaj after like playing one ball, like on the second ball he went after, I think that was not the right move from him. But I still believe Sri Lanka put themselves in a very difficult situation, because if Bangladesh is in their group and Holland is also, Netherlands is also, so I personally believe they can be out of this tournament after playing this bad game, because net run rate has to be recovered and then they have to win comprehensively against these oppositions.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things to consider and reflect upon for the Sri Lankan team, and plenty more for us to reflect upon here. Advantage Holdings presents Game On. Hey, off to a very short break, but we have a huge day of World Cup action tomorrow. 3 matches to preview, so stick with us.
Welcome back to Vantage Holdings presents Game On Hai. We now move from New York City back to Guyana, where we will be seeing a very interesting contest in this ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. हमने बार-बार ये बात की कि कोई भी टीम इस टूर्नामेंट में वीकर टीम नहीं है, और ये जो मैच होने वाला है ये एक ऐसी टीम हम देखने वाले हैं इन एक्शन जिसने अपने आप को T20 में एक फोर्स की तरह एस्टैब्लिश कर लिया है. दूसरी तरफ एक ऐसी टीम है जो कि एक अपने पाथवे से इस टूर्नामेंट तक पहुंची है, क्वालिफायर जीत के पहुंची है इस टूर्नामेंट तक, तो वो भी एक थ्रेटनिंग टीम हो सकती है. मैं बात कर रही हूँ अफगानिस्तान वर्सेस युगांडा. ये मैच जो है इन द अर्ली आवर्स ऑफ द मॉर्निंग आप देख सकेंगे लाइव ओनली ऑन PTV स्पोर्ट्स. बट बैक टू आवर एक्सपर्ट्स, where we talk about Afghanistan and of course how formidable they have become, Aaron, in the T20 format, whether it's their spinners, whether it's their batters up the order who like to hit big, who like to clear those boundaries, and no team, especially after their run in the last 50 over World Cup, no team will be looking at them lightly or taking them lightly. And a lot of action to expect from Afghanistan.
Oh, absolutely. I think they are one to watch in this edition of the tournament. They are long past being known as an associate nation. They are one of the big dogs, in my opinion. They have players that play all over the world now. They won all those matches in the 50 over version, as you said, but they excel in T20. Look at their bowling unit for starters. You have the likes of Rashid Khan, who's been long one of the best T20 bowlers the format has ever seen. You've now got Mujib-ur-Rahman, who gives him a run for his money. You have the likes of Faruqi, who's been fantastic. They've got the paces now with Naveen ul Haq, Mohammad Nabi as well. Like there's so much depth in their lineup now, and they are so experienced individually. So we come back once again to this notion of who can band together? Where does the cohesiveness come as a team? And you know, Afghanistan, they're used to playing away from home in all different kinds of conditions. That's where they've played all of their cricket. So, you know, I think they're really one to watch. And in these conditions, in the Caribbean, which we know is spin friendly, and they're oh so strong in that. I mean, there's just, you look at their lineup and there's power absolutely everywhere. Think about what could happen if Gurbaz gets going at the top of the order. Like they are
fireworks. there.
Absolutely, fireworks.
Fireworks
and
in Guyana.
yeah,
That's what we can expect if the Afghanistan battles keep going, Erin. And if we take a look back into the memory lane, 2009 was the year जिसमें एक बार Uganda actually beat Afghanistan in a World Cricket League division match. It was a 50-over match. They beat Afghanistan, but that Afghanistan was a different team. Interestingly, two players, one on each side, actually featured in that match and are also part of the teams today. So interesting. Mohammad Nabi is one of them, and Subuga, जो Uganda के player है, he was also part of that team. But a long memory Hafiz from that match. अब युगांडा जिस पाथवे से इस वर्ल्ड कप में आई है, क्वालिफायर जीत के अफ्रीकन रीजन का एक अपनी मनमाने वो आए हैं इस टूर्नामेंट में. सामने जो ओपोनेंट है आसान नहीं है फॉर द फर्स्ट मैच. कैसे देख रहे हैं आप इस कॉन्टेस्ट को?
देखें, एक तरफ तो प्रेशर होगा अफगानिस्तान के ऊपर, क्योंकि उन्होंने जितनी अच्छी क्रिकेट 50 ओवर फॉर्मेट में खेली, वो इस टूर्नामेंट का स्टार्ट अच्छा लेना चाहेंगे, तो उनके ऊपर प्रेशर हो सकता है. लेकिन अगर आप युगांडा की तरफ जाएं तो उनके लिए बड़ा एक ऐसा मैच है जिस पे उन्होंने सिर्फ एक्साइटमेंट के साथ खेलना है. क्योंकि जब आपने देखा अभी तक जितनी भी नई टीमें आई हैं जिन्होंने एक्साइटमेंट के साथ खेला है, जिनके पास एक नथिंग टू लूज सिचुएशन आई, उन्होंने ज़्यादा बेहतर परफॉर्मेंस शो की है. जैसे PNG की हम बात करें तो उन्होंने वेस्ट इंडीज़ को मुश्किल हालात में ले गए थे जहाँ पे वो मैच जीत सकते थे. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये वाला मैच भी हम आसान सोच सकते हैं कि अफगानिस्तान कम अ लॉन्ग वे, उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूव किया है एज ए नेशन, एज ए क्रिकेट नेशन. तो मुझे ये लगता है कि इस मैच को लेके ऑब्वियसली फेवरेट वुड बी अफगानिस्तान, लेकिन एक्साइटमेंट ज़रूर रहेगी कि जो युगांडा की टीम है जो एक प्रोसेस से जीत के आई है, उनकी परफॉर्मेंस कैसे आती है. और वही स्टेज की बात है कि जब स्टेज मिलेगी तो हो सकता है इन्हीं में से कोई एक प्लेयर, एक बैट्समैन, एक बॉलर, हमें कोई ऐसा नज़र आए जो इंटरनेशनल जो है वो एक स्टेज के ऊपर परफॉर्म करके अपने लिए नए रास्ते जो है वो खोल सके.
Right, we saw with David Visa what he did with that platform, in franchise cricket, and it won't be too far off in the future when we see some of the players from teams like PNG and Uganda who will use the World Cup as a launching pad.
It's the biggest stage in world cricket, isn't it? All eyes are on, and that's why it's fantastic to see that we've gone from 16 to 20 teams now. And yes, we have teams like Papua New Guinea and Uganda and things like that, which we haven't seen before. But look at the wonderful matches that we've had, even in that first match with Papua New Guinea really testing the West Indies. Like, there's so much talent within cricket, and it's amazing to see our sport truly spread throughout the world stage. But we're going to find wonderful players who will learn so much and take so much from this opportunity by coming up against our test playing nations who are obviously established for many, many years in this format of the game. But I think, gentlemen, the experience that one would get, even if you do come up against a side that does hand a healthy defeat to an associate nation, what you get out of this for your cricket moving forward is such an invaluable experience.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's what you gain from it, the experiences of playing against these top teams, and those guys will be looking up to these guys. They've been watching them play for many years, and the opportunity to get to play against them is it's a dream come true for them, really, isn't it? I think I saw after the West Indies Papua New Guinea game, one of the Papua New Guinea guys going up and having a chat to Andre Russell, and that's what the game's about. Learning from the guys who have all these experiences of playing around the world, and getting to rub shoulders with them, and that's just so cool for the game.
And sometimes it is the only way to get a go in some of these really established nations too. If you have a heritage in one of these countries, to get to go somewhere else to get some experience and end up getting the opportunity to play a World Cup and stamp your name somewhere. And we're seeing a lot of players doing that from all over the world now. If you look at particularly the USA and Canadian teams who have been long associate nations, there's plenty of players from this part of the world particularly who go there to get an opportunity. Is that a good thing, do you think, Hafiz? Now we've got more teams available, more opportunity for these players to shine?
But definitely, if you go in a different parallel option, which is obviously the international league around the world, that give a platform to all the players. If you are good enough to play international level, some of the franchisee will pick you up and they give you the right opportunity. If even these small like associate members, if they are not getting regular opportunity to play along with top teams, at least some of the players get experience playing with international players in different leagues. And you can see the Afghanistani team, basically develop themselves during the international leagues around the world. So, because there is no first class structure in Afghanistan still at the moment, but the amount of talent they produced during the last 5 years time, I think phenomenal. The way they come up with the expectation of the people, because Afghanistan people are very passionate towards the cricket and they want their team to do well. But I personally feel this will also offer the same opportunity to all the associate members participating in this World Cup. So if any of the player will do well, definitely he will get more opportunities in a franchise cricket.
And let's not forget, like, this truly is a world sport now. We're coming into the Olympics in LA as well in 2028. So cricket is well and truly setting its tentacles all over the world and making its mark. So it's really exciting times as, you know, a true absolute passionate lover of the game to finally see it as truly a world sport, Roha.
A lot of baseball comparisons going around every match.
Better than baseball,
turn
come on.
Of course, it's
Come
better
on.
than baseball. Of course, we're a little biased here. But coming back to the game, Yunus, अफगानिस्तान आपको भी बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस है, क्लोजली आपने ऑब्जर्व किया अफगानिस्तान के प्लेयर्स को. उनके लिए ये कितना आइडियल स्टार्ट होगा उनकी कैंपेन के लिए, क्योंकि आगे जो ऑपोजिशन है इतनी थ्रेटनिंग नहीं है और एक अच्छा मौका है अफगानिस्तान के पास टू ओपन देयर अकाउंट इन द वर्ल्ड कप.
आई वाज आल्सो वर्क विद देम.
या
तो मैं उनके साथ काम भी कर चुका हूँ. तो देखिए पाकिस्तान, जहाँ तक अफगानिस्तान की क्रिकेट की बात होती है तो ये पैशन है पूरा और एग्रेशन है, ये दो ही है उनके पास, जिसकी वजह से वो आते हैं और वो कभी ये नहीं समझते कि हम किन के ख़िलाफ़ खेल रहे हैं. वो आते हैं वो जीतने के लिए जाए. उनके अल्टीमेट गोल ये होता है कि हमने पाकिस्तान को हराना है, हमने इंडिया को हराना है, हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को हराना है, हमने न्यूजीलैंड को हराना है, हमने सारी टीमों को हराना है. तो जब आपके जहन में ऐसा गोल हो तो उसके बाद कुछ होता नहीं है और फिर वो बिल्कुल फ्री माइंड से खेलते हैं. तो वो बिल्कुल एक माइंड से और फ्री माइंड से जब आप खेलते हो तो फिर आपकी जो कामयाबी बहुत ज़्यादा ब्राइट होती है और नज़र आ रही होती है. तो उनके पास सिर्फ यही है कि वो आते हैं और वो विन करने के लिए आते हैं और एज अ टीम आते हैं. ऐसा नहीं, और आपने उनको देखा होगा जब वो खेल रहे होंगे तो सारे ही प्लेयर उनके स्विच ऑन होते हैं. जो 11 के 11 प्लेयर होंगे वो भी स्विच ऑन होंगे और जो डकआउट में बैठे हैं वो भी स्विच ऑन होंगे और जो उनके सपोर्टिंग स्टाफ होगा वो भी स्विच ऑन होगा. तो जब आपने देखा कि 20 से 25 जो जितने भी आपके प्लेयर्स हैं, जो सपोर्टिंग स्टाफ है वो सब स्विच ऑन है, तो रिज़ल्ट क्या आएगा? रिज़ल्ट यही आएगा जो हमारे सामने आ रहा है. लास्ट वो 50 ओवर के वर्ल्ड कप में देख लें, उन्होंने जहाँ टीम वो अनलकी रहे कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया के खिलाफ वो ऐसा मैच वो हार गए जो कि उनको हारना नहीं चाहिए था और वो कहीं टॉप 4 में फिनिश करते. तो मेरे ख्याल से देखिए उनकी यही क्वालिटी है. और एक और अच्छी बात है जो यहाँ हमारे पैनल ने मेंशन की है कि वो उन टीमों में से हैं जिनके प्लेयर जो है एक नहीं, दो नहीं, 4-4, 5-5 मुख्तलिफ फ्रेंचाइज क्रिकेट में खेलते हैं और सारी दुनिया में खेलते हैं. तो उनको एक्सपीरियंस बहुत है और यही वो फॉर्मेट है जिसकी वजह से उनके प्लेयर और उनकी टीम का नाम बना है. और अब वो टूर चले गए 50 ओवर्स में, उन्होंने वहाँ पे वंडर्स करना शुरू किया और अल्टीमेट बहुत जल्दी वो जो है वो टेस्ट क्रिकेट में भी करेंगे.
अच्छा, मेरा एक सवाल है अफगानिस्तान के प्लेयर्स के बारे में, उनके कल्चर के बारे में. उनकी जो डाइट है इट्स वेरी प्रोटीन हैवी, राइट? आपने भी वहाँ पे बहुत टाइम गुजारा है, काबुली पुलाव और ये सारे खाने.
ये वही डाइट है जो हम अभी एरन को ऑफर कर रहे हैं और गप्टल को और मार्टिन गप्टल को ऑफर कर रहे हैं.
कल फिर हम काबुली पुलाव एक्सपेक्ट करें.
तो यही उनकी डाइट है. लेकिन उसके बाद सिर्फ ये डाइट ही नहीं है, उनका जो वर्कआउट है वो बिल्कुल ऐसा है कि वो सुबह से लेकर शाम तक वो आप
और
उनको
पेशावरी कहवा भी शायद वो बड़ा एंजॉय करते हैं.
बिल्कुल उनका यही रूटीन है. वो खाते भी अच्छा है और फिर जब वो ट्रेनिंग पे आते हैं तो सुबह से शाम तक आप उनको दौड़ा लें. और दूसरी बात ये कि मैंने उनके साथ जब एज अ कोच काम किया तो मुझे एक अच्छी बात उनमें ये लगी कि आप जब उनको कोई भी मैसेज कन्वे करते हो तो वो उस पर फिर डट जाते हैं, उसको फॉलो करते हैं. जो भी उनका लीडर होगा वो फॉलो करेंगे, जो भी स्ट्रेटेजी होगी वो फॉलो करेंगे, वो जाएंगे टिल डेथ तक. तो ये एक अच्छी बात है उनमें कि वो बिल्कुल छोड़ते कुछ नहीं है. तो इसीलिए आपने देखा हो कि वो जैसी उनके खिलाफ अच्छी टीम आती है तो वो बिल्कुल खड़े हो जाते हैं. तो ये एक अच्छी क्वालिटी है उनकी टीम है. एज अ टीम बहुत अच्छा खेलती है.
Marty, have you ever had Kabuli pulao?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of it?
I ate that
About
last
10
night,
seconds
didn't
ago.
I? Pulao?
No, but that's a different
it's a
kind.
Kabuli pulao. It's a different one.
That I had last night, and that was absolutely delicious. But I'm just waiting for Yunus to cook me this famous paratha that he was talking about that he has for breakfast every
In desi
morning.
ghee.
Yeah,
and you know you're gonna make it. Not
I have
he
to
gonna
make it.
You're gonna make it.
Oh Lord,
He will
okay.
tell you. He will give you all the
I will make that peda for you.
Yeah.
That peda is like a round peda, and then you will make that paratha.
Yeah, love it, love
For
it.
us, not for only for yourself, for all of us.
Oh, I have to make these.
Aaron Holland is making parathas for the whole game on her team.
Tune in
And
for that. I reckon we should put that on social media.
Follow
What do you
our
reckon?
social media handles. You'll get to see all of the BTS action. But
And
talking
it
so
will be
much about
recorded.
food, I'm kind of getting hungry. But I heard you have some prizes to give away.
I
Erin.
absolutely do. Of course, it wouldn't be Advantage Holdings presents Game on Hay without a couple of prizes. So if you've tuned into our pre-show, you would have seen that we had our J.Janed Jamshed perfume giveaway. And I can now announce that the winner is... Give me a drum roll. Come on. Oh, come on. Pathetic. Come on, Woz. The winner is Amna. Congratulations, beautiful. This beautiful perfume is coming for you. You're our winner. Of course, you answered correctly the answer to who was the Sri Lankan player with the best economy rate in the 2014 ICC T20 World Cup. Love it when the gals get the chocolates. Congratulations.
That's 2 in a row.
It is 2 in a row. We're going to
Wonderful.
send this one to you. Congratulations.
Wasim Akram is the name of that perfume. So
Certainly
congratulations
is.
to Amna.
It'll make you bowl as fast as Wasim Akram.
Or at least smell as good as him. But congratulations.
Not
to
after
you.
a fifer.
But congratulations to you, and thank you all for engaging with our show, for continuing to support our show and continuing to tune in every day and call in for all the answers, and of course following us over social media as well. Erin, I think it's time to bid good night.
I think it is. We have 3 games tomorrow, starting of course from 5:30 a.m. local time. That's at Afghanistan taking on Uganda. You don't want to miss that. But we also have England taking on Scotland, and a third match later on as well, which we haven't even gotten our heads around because there's that much action happening in the 2024 ICC T20 Men's World Cup. Gentlemen, thank you for your time once again. Bit of food for thought, quite literally, for me before tomorrow.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow before the game, and of course we will be including all of the live analysis before we switch to the live action. Take care. Good night. Allah Hafiz.